Hello and welcome to tonight's episode of Dice and Dudes. Now I got to make sure that we got sound going real quick, so bear with me. I apologize. Yes, I do have sound. Okay, cool. So I will be ignoring that now. I am not going to have anybody really looking at the chat today as I am alone, but we will do our best. Still very much doing the stream thing as opposed to structured videos, which I suck at editing, so this is the way it's going to be. All right. So, sorry. Okay. So tonight, the dudes, and by the dudes I mean myself, are bringing you a review of Descent: Journeys in the Dark. I wanted to talk a bit about this game because it's created a lot of talk throughout the community on what it does and what it is, and does this style of gaming belong in board gaming and things like that. I will be tackling that a little bit. We may save a deeper discussion for that for a YouTube video all on its own. But until then, I will be giving a few of my thoughts for it. So tonight, I'm going to give you guys a quick, brief run through. I'm going to be playing a little bit of the game, not much. I just want to show you guys kind of how the app works and stuff like that. Now, this is kind of a low-tech setup. I don't know any programs that I could download in a few minutes that would be able to share the screen of my tablet with the streaming computer, so that way you can get a better view of what the tablet is showing. So I literally pointed a camera at the tablet, and we're just going to have to deal with that. But we're going to go ahead and get started with this review. But if you like what you see, if you do like the channel and you like the type of videos that we do and you want to see more, I do ask that you subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment. That does appease the almighty algorithm, which is my new religion. If you watch us on Twitch, please follow us, and if you have a free Twitch Prime subscription, please throw that our way. And if you really like the content, and only if you really like the content, throw a few shekels our way by subscribing to us with cash payments. It really helps, keeps the lights on, buys new lights, new cameras, and hopefully teaches this old dog a few new tricks about how to get apps on board games or on the stream. So if you guys want to see more of this video, if you guys want to see more of Descent, it is a very expensive game, which I will talk about. But if it's something that you want to see in the future, let me know in the comments down below, and we will do a full campaign playthrough of this one, just like we did with Kingdom Death Monster and the nearly complete Dice Throne Adventures campaign that we did. So if you want to see that, let us know. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about this game. So this is, for all intents and purposes, a spiritual successor to Descent: Journeys in the Dark. Okay, this is not Descent. Okay, it is, while it is named Descent, it does not play very much like the old Descent. Even taking away the Overlord, the one versus many version of the game, even taking that away, the game does not function the same as Descent did. Whether or not that's a good thing, you will have to see for yourself, and we will get to that at the end of the video. But for now, let's go ahead and start out like we have just started the campaign. Now, I've already answered the questions. The game is very narrative-driven, so there will be lots of questions for you to answer. Characters have their own personalities, and they will be able to answer one of two ways, depending on the two personality or the two traits that they have that govern their personality. So be aware of that. I've already done that stuff and already kind of gone through. I just want to show you guys kind of how the game on the board plays as well as the game on the app plays. So I hope this setup works for you guys. But basically, I have chosen Bryn and I have chosen Varric. Bryn was left on watch duty, and they investigated noises in the night, and that is what has led us to our current board state, which I will show you in just a second. And now enemies have spawned, and Varric has awoken to help his friend Bryn. I am playing a two-player version of this simply because it'll be much easier for me to do with that. It is a minimum two-player game, but it is very easy if you solo it to simply run two characters. Let's go ahead and show you what's happening on the board. Okay, so what you see here is the basic setup. If you look at the on this one would be top right of the screen. That is actually going to be the app. I can actually move that around so you guys can see that it is not a static picture. That is the app itself. It is showing important information. The app is going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you with a lot of the caretaking of the campaign, the upkeeping and the bookkeeping and all that stuff. It's going to do that for you. It's also going to help you with your attacks and things like that, which I will show you as we go. Okay, so we have that in the top right of the screen, and you guys will see the overall board here. Over here I have Varric further back and Bryn just ahead. We have forgot what you were called, a Fae. Sorry, we have a Fae enemy here that is the orange level number 1 Fae, and we have an orange number 1 Berserker. Now, very cool, these things do come off, so that way you can actually slip in the right color, or you can even change the number if you need to. Each of these, all 4 of these guys are the same color, so you don't have to find a particular one, but you just put it on the correct number. So that way, if you have anybody who's colorblind or color sensitive, they don't need to memorize the color, they just need to see the dash there, okay? So we got him, and we got him right here. Okay, hopefully that's the right spot. If not, it's okay, we're just doing an example here. All right, so we are still in the first hero phase, and Bryn has already spent one of her 3 actions. She's already spent a maneuver action. Now, each player is going to have... Actually, hold on, I should go ahead and describe a little bit more of this. So this is the character sheet for Bryn. Let's see if I can get you guys a good view of that. It shows her movement, her hit points, what she uses, what dice she uses for attack and defense, what her abilities are, her ability modifiers, how much stamina this side of the card can take, and her ability as well as her surge effect here. There's also a space for heavy armor. Won't need to worry about that right now. Now they are double-sided. So over here I may have steady defense, but over here I have outmaneuver. So it does change, and your no, the surge does not change for this character. So if you notice though, this one only can take 1 stamina, so I could only do outmaneuver once, and then I'd have to flip the card to get rid of stamina or wait for the end of the turn. But we'll get to that in just a minute. All right, so that's Bryn, and then you have the same thing. You have the combat cards, your weapons. So each character is going to have 2 weapons, and you'll have them like this. It basically shows you which weapon you have equipped. So that's I actually kind of like this mechanic. It's pretty cool. So like if like right now I have the Warden's Blade equipped, but if I wanted to, I could flip this card and have the weighted Warhammer, and that would take an action to flip the card. That is one of the actions that I could take. And then Varric's is the same thing. These dials do not come with the game unless you pick up like the purchase a copy from like Game Vault. They do have the promos for it, and the promos to this one are really good, especially these plastic health point markers. They are just better than the cardboard ones, and they're very, very nice, very, very colorful. I like them a lot. So I have a more healing kind of guy, and I have a more tanking kind of girl, and we are going on this adventure together. Okay, now these things over here on the board, like I have a tree. Now, one of the cool things about this game is that the environment can be interacted with, which is really, really cool. So I could actually interact with that tree. I could also interact, make sure this guy's not gonna, I can interact with the tokens here. These are sight tokens. So basically, as soon as I go adjacent to them, I now see what's in front of me. So it's kind of like the fog of war lifting style thing, okay? And I didn't reveal the entire map because I want you guys to kind of see how that happens. I want you guys to kind of see how that happens, so that way you guys can see like what you have to deal with that. And then of course we have our enemies, and then we have water here. So I can actually walk, I'm talking too fast, I can actually walk through the water, but it costs me 2 spaces to leave a space, to leave a water space. So it's basically like difficult terrain in D&D. It would take 2 spaces as opposed to 1 to be able to move through, which means characters like Bryn, whose movement is 3, and Varric's movement is 3, would have a really tough time moving through the water. So kind of want to try to stay away from the water if we can. Okay, now, as I was saying, Bryn has already spent one of her 3 actions. Now, she could explore an item on the board. She could fight if she was adjacent to somebody or if she had a ranged weapon, which she does not have a ranged weapon. Right now, neither one of my characters have ranged weapons. I went full melee with this because I like melee. She could take another maneuver action. She could actually take all 3 maneuver actions if she wanted to. She could ready, which is flipping a card, or she can do a unique action depending on the card and things like that. But what Bryn is going to go ahead and do is she's going to spend her second action to go ahead and go to spend a maneuver to go move 1 and 2, and now she is going to go ahead and attack this this Fae. So if we come over here and we click on the enemy thing, so I'm going to be attacking the Fae, so I simply drag from Bryn up to that one, and it's going to ask me what weapon I'm using. Now my weapon currently equipped is going to be the Warden's Blade, so I will select the Warden's Blade. So now I would look at my card to see, okay, she uses the black die, we'll call it, for this roll. It's only 1 die that you roll with these, which, again, we'll talk about that later, but it's only going to be the 1 die, and then I will count up my number of successes. I can do things like turn advantages into successes by spending, or by taking fatigue, things like that. I can get surges, which can allow me to activate my surge, things of that nature, but let's go ahead and see. So, this phase is otherworldly, so during the attack, I suffer 1 more fatigue for each advantage I convert into a success. So let's see what happens. I am using a slashing type weapon damage. So let's see. Okay, so I got 3 successes there. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Okay, so I'd like that. I could, during my attack or defense, I'm not adjacent to another hero, so I wouldn't be able to use his ability, or her ability, excuse me. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark down that I got 3 successes. So I go ahead and I move this thing over, 1, 2, 3. I could also add a status effect that the attack had a status effect and other things, but now I simply hit confirm. And it shows me that he took 8 damage. So he's down to 15 life, okay? So now I hit continue, and I can go back. Now I can leave it on this screen, I can go back to this screen, but basically I have already used Bryn, so I would now have to move on to Varric. So with Varric, I wouldn't typically do what I'm about to do, but I'm going to do it just so you guys can see it. I'm going to go ahead and use Varric's first action to go ahead and maneuver to go 1, 2, which would reveal this site token. I simply take Varric and draw towards this site, and it will tell me what happens. So the pathway around the lake becomes clear. Discard both of these site tokens. So both those site tokens are now gone. And I would add 4B. So now I have all of my tiles here, and I would add 4B. So now I would do this. Let's see if I can do this without messing up all my hard work. Awesome. And then it would tell me, I hit continue, and it would tell me what to add next. So I would be adding a tree, and then continue. And now there is another bandit. So now I would take a bandit, which is this figure right here, and it is once again orange number 1 bandit. And I would put that one right here. So we are pretty outnumbered right now. That's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be kind of tough to deal with. We got 3 enemies, which is going to be a rough one, okay? So now I could, I still have 1 space of movement, because as soon as I come next to a site token, it unlocks that site token. So I have 1 more space of movement. So I actually want to go ahead and go 1, and then 1, 2, 3 for my second action, and then I'm going to go ahead and attack with my Iron Thorn Warbell, the Fae. So I will switch back to this screen, and then Varric is going to attack the Fae. And I'm going to attacking with the Iron Thorn Warbell. So let's see. So I use the blue die on his attack. So let's see what happens. Alright, so I got an advantage and I got a success. So if, same thing, it still has the otherworldly ability. So if I want to turn that advantage into a success, I would have to take 2 stamina instead of 1, which I will go ahead and do. I'm going to go ahead and take 2 stamina. And that will give me 1 more success. I didn't get a surge, and I didn't get, I can't currently add respite to them, but that's okay. I don't need to heal anybody yet, so that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and just do the 2 successes. So we're going to go 1, 2 on successes, and I am using a crush type weapon. So let's see what happens. Bam! Another 8 damage with only 2 successes. So if you look here, you can look down here in the bottom right corner. There, I now know the weakness of the Fae is a crushing weapon as opposed to slashing weapons. So if I want to do extra damage to the Fae, I now have learned that I can do that with a crushing weapon. So that's awesome. Now both of my guys have used their actions, so I will simply go ahead and end phase, and it's going to put me into the darkness phase. Now first off, I'm going to get to, I will have to activate any infections or tears that I have, which I have none. And then each hero will get to discard 1 of their fatigue off of any of their cards or player board, which the only one who's taken any is Varric. So then I will hit continue, and now it's going to tell me how the enemies are going to attack, okay? So for instance, the bandit's going to go first, and it's going to move 3, and it's going to be attacking Varric. So he's going to have a ranged attack that has a range of 2. So he's going to try to do his best to get to me, to get within range. 1, 2, and right there he's in range, so he would stop so that way he can go ahead and shoot at me. So with a range of 2, he is 2 spaces away, so he's going to be able to attack. The attack is dealing 5 damage. Okay, so I would take Varric's defense die, which is the orange die, and I would roll this and then subtract that much, the number of successes from the damage I take. Now, thankfully, I'm adjacent to Bryn, so we'll see. Maybe she can give me some help, okay? So I got 2 successes and an advantage, so I will go ahead and take... I don't want to take another one because I want to be able to respite. So over here, though, Bryn is going to go ahead and use their steady defense. So during her or an adjacent hero's defense, I can add 2 fatigue in order to add 1 more success. So that's actually going to be 3 successes. So I would take 2 damage with Varric and go 1, 2, down to 6 health. So Varric took 2 damage, and now we can go, okay? So now as the Fae is going to attack Bryn. So Bryn uses this black die, and this one is flying. So it can actually move 4 spaces, and it is going to do a ranged attack. So from my understanding, if they're doing ranged attack, they will try to move at least 1 space away. Now they are impeded, so they can only move 1 space, but still. And they cannot be impeded, actually, so the Fae would probably want to go as far away from me as they could. So go 1, 2, 3. Well, they go 1, 2, so that way they can keep Bryn in range. So now Bryn would go ahead and roll her defense, and she rolls 2 and an advantage. But she's fine taking a single damage. But after the defense, the target either discards 1 focus token or suffers 2 fatigue. She'd have to suffer the 1 fatigue, so it doesn't matter. She will go ahead and suffer the 1 fatigue, so that way she will take no damage, and she'd have to suffer full fatigue anyway. So Bryn is still at full life. Okay, so now we're going to go done. Now the Berserker goes. Now he's going to try to target Bryn, and his movement is 4. So he's going to go 1, 2. As he can move through enemy space as long as he doesn't end his turn there. 3 and 4, so he will go right there, and then he's going to attack. So Bryn once again will go ahead and roll her defense, and once again she got 3, so she's actually going to take 2 damage this time. So we are both down 2 health. So that could have been much, much worse. So the Berserker howls, eyes wide, gazing at Bryn with unfathomable rage. So that's kind of a hint that, for the player to know what's coming on the next turn. So maybe I want to try to kill that Berserker, but I really need to get rid of that Fae. Okay, so the sad part is that we are both impeded right now, and yeah, we're both impeded. That is not good because we got to kill that Fae, and I got no ranged weapons. So maybe I didn't plan this out too well. But hey, if you guys see me lose, you guys will know that the game is not a joke. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to start with Varric. So Varric is going to go ahead and suffer 2 stamina to do Respite. So during the turn, you or an adjacent hero heals 2. So she's going to go ahead and heal herself, or himself, excuse me, back up to 8 because it doesn't have the defense that Bryn does. And then he is going to go ahead and attack. Does he want to attack with this one or that one? Ooh, that one is reach. So actually, I'm going to spend 2 actions. I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 action here to go ahead and ready to flip my card to my spear. Then I'm going to maneuver. Now I'm impeded, so my movement is 1, so I can move 1 there. But now I am in range of the Fae. So I'm going to go ahead and attack the Fae and see how I can do this. So we're going to go with the Riverwatch Spear, and now we're going to attack. So once again, I use my blue die. Come on, let's see if I can roll well. Okay, so not super good at all. So that is only a single success. So not great. So let's see what happens here. We have a piercing weapon, so hopefully we do 2 damage. Okay, so we didn't do much to the Fae. He still got 5 health left, and Varric's turn is done. Thank you very much, Arco, for dropping in for the thumbs up. It is very, very much appreciated, especially because I'm about to get my teeth kicked in. All right, so let's go ahead and go with Bryn. So it is going to be Bryn's turn, and Bryn is going to go ahead and just try to beat up this Berserker. Now, I can only spend 2 of my actions to attack. One of my actions is always a maneuver action, so I will be spending both of my actions to attack and then see what happens. So Bryn is going to go ahead and attack the Berserker, and going to use the Warden's Blade. So let's see what happens. Okay, so I got my first surge, so I can add 1 success. An adjacent hero may discard 1 fatigue. Very nice. So Varric is -1 fatigue. So that is 2 successes. 1, 2. Let's see. That is 5 damage. That is not bad. Let's go ahead and attack that Berserker again, and we're going to go with the Warden's Blade again, and let's see what happens. Now, I got a bunch of these advantages, but I can't do anything with it. So, I'm adjacent to another hero, so I'm going to go ahead and put 2 fatigue on this one on my sword in order to use its ability. That will give me another success as long as I'm adjacent to another hero, which I am. So now that will be 3 successes. So we'll come over here and go 1, 2, 3, and confirm. So doing 8 damage. All right. So if only I could attack again, I would be able to do something with that. But right now, all I can do is do a maneuver. And frankly, right now, the only maneuver that I want to do is I want to kind of make sure that these guys can see me, so that way, just in case they go to attack Bryn, they don't have to attack Varric if they can't get to Bryn. So Bryn's going to move 1 space over. Okay. And sorry if my head keeps getting in the shot, guys. Doing what I can. Okay, so now that is both of my heroes are done, so let's end the phase. All right, so right now we have the ability to remove 1 of each of these. So Varric will obviously remove 1 from his card, and then Bryn is going to go ahead and try to remove 1 from this one here. Yeah, I want to try to use that Warden's Blade again. Yeah, I want to try to use that Warden's Blade again. Okay. I have no other status effects, so I simply ignore that. So the Berserker is once again going to go after Bryn, and that is going to be attacks 3 times if the target is Bryn. So really going after Bryn, which is not good. So that is going to have to be 3 defense rolls for Bryn. Let's see what happens. So that is 2 successes. And an adjacent hero can remove 1 of these. So that is 2 successes, so that is 3 damage. And let's try that again. That is same thing. And let's see if I'm going to have to do, and there's nothing else there. And last but not least is simply 2 successes. So, yes, I will now go up to 10 back to 10 life, and I am wounded. Okay, so I will have to mark down that Bryn is now wounded. Okay, when you're wounded, it's basically like you're really at half health. You really have double your health. Really, Bryn has 20 hit points, but when she takes 10, she's wounded. She takes another 10, we lose because she dies. So now it's going to be the bandit, and the bandit's going after Varric, and bandit's in perfect position, so they're not going to worry about moving. So let's see, we're going to go ahead and have Varric do his defense roll. He got 2 successes, so Varric is going to take 2 damage. And last but not least is going to be the Fae, and the Fae is also going after Bryn. It's actually going to have to move up 1 right there in order to get to Bryn. But it can now see Bryn, so Bryn is going to go ahead and roll her defense. And that is 2, so she would take 1 damage. And once again, she'd have to add 2 stamina, but she has no stamina to add. She's already full on her card. Okay, so now we go done. Okay, the bandit crouches low, daggers out, and beckons you forward with a flick of one of their rusty tips. That just sounds bad. Okay, so let's see if we can kill this Fae. Alright, so with, and you'll see that it continues to save. It saves consistently for you, which is really, really nice. You could literally drop out at any time and then pick the game back up right where you left off. So it's not one of these like, oh man, we got to play it to completion every single time. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to Varric, actually. So Varric is going to go ahead and move up 1. He is impeded, but that's okay because he wants to be able to attack multiple people if he can. And then he is going to go ahead and, first, before he moves, he's going to spend Respite to add 2 health to himself, right? Yeah, he needs to add it. No. Yeah, because you're only down to 9, so yeah, he's going to go and do that. And once you're wounded, you can't be unwounded. So he's going to heal himself, and then he is going to attack the Fae. Let's see what happens with the Riverwatch Spear, and he is using this. Alright, so that is 2 successes. Okay. 1, 2. Let's see what happens. That is 5 damage. All right, we killed the Fae. Okay, so your foe crumples to the ground. Remove the Fae. The Fae is gone. Very nice. Odds are swinging in our favor. Okay, so we continue. And then since he's adjacent to the Berserker, he's going to go ahead and swing at that Berserker, because why not? He just got a Surge. That's all he got. But he gets to add 1, and any hero may discard 1 condition. None of them have any conditions, so it's simply 1 success. So we're going to add on to the Berserker here with the Spear, and that is going to be a single success. Oh, 4 damage because he is weak to piercing. Good to know. Very, very happy to find that out. All right, so now it's going to be Bryn's turn as Varric has done his maneuver and then attacked twice. So Bryn is going to go ahead and she is going to attack the Berserker, because why not at this point, with her Warden's Blade. So let's see. And this enemy's damage is permanently increased by 1 every time I hit him, so he will be doing a lot of damage if I can't kill him. So that is a Surge, which is going to add 1, but there's no adjacent heroes. So that is going to be 2 successes. 1, 2. And with only 1 health left, he does die. All right. So the Berserker is now dead as well. Okay, so your foe crumbles to the ground. We've removed the Berserker. So now Bryn is going to go ahead and maneuver and go 1, 2. And I hope this doesn't get Bryn stabbed, but it probably is going to. So let's see. We're just going to stick with the Warden's Blade because we want to actually be able to attack this turn. So the bandit steps forward before he can attack, throwing a rusted knife. Bryn suffers 5 damage. Agility negates. Ooh, her agility is -1. So I have to roll. This is a ability test. So I have to roll my ability of the black die and then add or subtract my ability. Her agility is -1 success. So hoping I roll 3 successes here. I rolled 1 success, and I got a surge, so that will be another success. And Varric will be able to remove that, so that is 2 successes. So Bryn is going to take 3 damage, knocking her down to 6. Okay. But I still do get to do my attack. And Smoke Bomb, after the attack, the enemy shifts 2 spaces away from the hero. So it's a good thing this is my last attack. Let's see. Oh, very nice. That is 3. I will take 3 successes. That is 1, 2, 3. That is very nice. And that is doing a whopping 8 damage to the bandit. Very, very nice. I'm very happy with that. And then he will shift away. 1, 2. Okay. So it is going to be another end phase. And once again, I'm going to remove 1 and 1. So my Warden's Blade is now free and clear to use again. But then it is going to be the bandit's turn. And the bandit is going to go after Varric. And they are going to go after him. So no ranged attack this time. Moving 3. 1, 2, 3. They are adjacent to Varric. So they will attempt to attack Varric. So that is going to be 5 damage minus my defense die of orange. That's 2 successes. And I can't use steady defense. So that is only 2 successes. So Varric is going to take 3 damage. Good thing I respited Varric. Okay, so that is done. And the bandit pulls out several knives with one hand and raises a fully loaded repeating crossbow with the other. I think he is ready to just do a bunch of ranged attacks. So we're going to try to just straight up kill this dude. Let's see what we can do. All right, so first off, Varric is going to spend the 2 stamina. Or take 2 fatigue in order to heal Varric, which is going to heal Varric for 2. And then he's going to attack he's going to attack the bandit. So let's see what happens with his spear. Why not? That is going to be, I can take a fatigue in order to get another success. Or, I'm going to add it to here. Nope, I can't do that. Sorry, that is a surge. So I'm going to go ahead and get 2 successes. So we're going to have Varric attack it with the spear. And 2 successes. Confirmed. Oh, 8 damage. It is weak to piercing. Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Smoke Bomb. The enemy moves 2 spaces away. 1, 2. Now, thankfully, Varric has not moved yet. So Varric is going to go ahead and go 1 and just stay right there and attack the bandit. So he's going to attack the bandit from right where he stands with his Riverwatch Spear, and that is a whopping only 1 success because I cannot take another stamina to turn that advantage into a success. So it's going to be 1 success, and hopefully that's going to be enough. That is another 8 damage, and the foe crumples to the ground. So the bandit is now dead. So we managed to survive. So now I'm going to twist this here so you guys can see a bit better. Okay, so now we have to add some stuff to the map. So we have to add a well there. We have to add a chest here. And we have to add this guy with this here. So very cool. So we placed 1 archway, 1 chest, 1 door, and 1 well. The clouds over the moon part, illuminating the clearing. A baronial watchtower stands not far away. Or baronial? Baronial. Objective updated. We have to enter the watchtower. Now, we could take our time, though, because we could actually go on tokens and interact with them, which is what we're going to do here, okay? So now we're going to try to interact with stuff. Now, Varric's turn is sadly done because he attacked twice and he did his maneuver, so he's done. But Bryn over here is not done. So Bryn wants to go ahead and use a maneuver action to move once over here, and then she wants to go ahead and try to interact with this tree. Let's see. So the tree has round green fruit on the lower branches, plants and mushrooms growing up its side, and a sturdy trunk you could climb. So I can pick the fruit, I can forage the plants, or I can climb the tree. I want to pick the fruit. Fruit's delicious. So I pick the fruit. Woo! I heal 2. So now Bryn has gone up to 10 health and is back in fighting shape. Okay. And now I wouldn't be able to do that again. That choice is now gone. I couldn't do it. But I want to explore again. Why not? Let's explore the tree twice, right? Now I'm going to go ahead. I want to climb the tree. I've never climbed the tree, so I'm going to have to test my might and see what happens. So my might is +2, so I roll a black die, and I add this +2 to the number of successes I roll, which is going to be 1, 2 with my ability, which means you can discard that. So that is 4 successes total. So let's see. Let's see if I fall out of the tree and break my leg. 4 successes. You try to pull yourself up, but your foot slips and you fall backwards. You were unhurt except for maybe your pride. Okay. So now Bryn moved and did her 2 explore actions, so that's going to end her turn. So now we would simply end the phase. And if you notice now, we still have a darkness phase even though there's no enemies, which means we still get to remove fatigue. But now it's more about exploration than it is combat. Now, I'm going to explore this part of the map to kind of show you guys a little bit more of the things that can happen. And then I'll go back up top and we will simply talk about the game itself, with you guys having seen pretty much everything I think is required for the game. Okay? So now we go back to the hero phase, and Varric is going to go ahead and take his turn first. And that's something I didn't mention. You can decide who goes first. Even in a 4-player game, there is no set turn order. There's no first player token, anything like that. You just decide who goes first, which is really, really helpful. So Varric is going to go ahead and move 1, 2 to get over to this well, and Varric is going to search the well. So I go ahead and drag up here to Varric, and I highlight the well. And now the waters below are still unclear. I can drink or I can summon healing. I think I'm going to summon healing. So summon healing. I test my insight. Casting my pain into the waters, you pull new life from the ancient well. So I'm going to test my insight. My insight with him is +1. So I roll the black die. That is 3. And you know what? I'm going to take 2 fatigue just to get... Yep, I'm going to take 2 fatigue to get 5 successes. Okay. And you and another hero within 3 spaces of you both heal equal up to my successes. So we would both heal up to 5. So I'm going to go up to full health up to 8. So I will actually only spend 1 of those fatigue. So there we go. I'm doing pretty well. So that was 1 move and that. So I think I've pretty much already gotten the well. So pretty well checked. So I want to go 1, 2, 3 to check the chest next turn. So at this point, Bryn, you know, is a human avenger. But I think she likes trees. So let's see. She's going to try to go after the plants for this one. So, see, and they have voiceover, which is really nice. You forge on and around the tree looking for anything of interest. The following has been added to your inventory to be used later. 15 herbs from some devil's pollen. Very, very nice. And I'm simply going to move her twice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to that tree in order to do something next turn. So we'd end the phase. Once again, taking these away. And now we move on to this. Okay, so this will be the last turn that I take, and then we will move on to the rest of the game. So Varric is going to go ahead and try to open up that chest. So Varric has to test insight. Okay, so my insight is +1. So I will once again roll, and that is 1, 2 successes. But I don't think that's going to be enough. Let's see. You're closer to open the chest, but there's still some effort required. So I'm going to attempt it one more time. And let's see. Okay, that is 3 successes. 1, 2, 3. Hopefully 5 will do it. No, I'm closer to opening the chest. Now we're going to go ahead and fudge this real quick, and we're just going to say that Varric could do it again, even though he can't. Can't do this. I'm cheating. Don't do this. This is not how you play the game. I just want to show you guys how this works. So it's a cumulative kind of check. So now I would roll again, and I get 2 more successes. And if I've hit the threshold, which I hope I have, I've hit the threshold. So now I've been able to open the chest. The following has been added to your inventory to be used later. 9 herbs and 1 toxos from some broken bottles, 9 metal and 1 lumos from a glowing core, and a braided pommel recipe. Yes, a recipe, because you are able to craft in this game, which I absolutely freaking love. I think every role-playing adventure game should have crafting in it, because crafting is a big part of role-playing games. Okay, so you kind of seen how the app works. Okay, the app is very efficient at what it does. You can move around the map, you can recenter it, you can spin it around, stuff like that. You can select enemies, you can look at enemies, you can look at the players. Sorry, with her, I'd actually have to wound her. So then I would wound her and it would show she is wounded. So now we know that she is wounded. So we know that. Sorry, that I apologize that I forgot that earlier. But that is really interesting and really cool. And she gains the hesitant injury. So now she is hesitant. So really interesting. I don't need to reach for a card and fish it out. And this is not a slide against King of the Monster because I have to do that a lot in that game. But I love that game. My favorite board game. But I don't have to fish out for the card to find out what that does. I simply can look in the app to see everything that it tells me. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back up top to go ahead and talk about the game now. Okay, so let's go ahead, like I said, let's get this out of the way. This is not Descent. If anything, this feels more like the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, okay? Mixed with like Mansions of Madness, where the Journeys in Middle-earth, the exploration part and the combat parts were two separate things. This has kind of meshed them together. I'm knocking over trees. Okay, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But if you were expecting a Descent the Third, you will be disappointed. This does not play like that. But as a guy who bought all of Descent and eventually painted up and sold it, I'm not mad about that. I am very happy with that because, frankly, as soon as Imperial Assault came out, Descent was secondary to that by a mile. Imperial Assault was a much, much better game than Descent was, in my opinion. Well, I think objectively it was a better game. The Overlord, while still kind of overpowered, not as overpowered as in Descent. If I played the Overlord in Descent first edition or second edition, I hate to say it, but I typically wouldn't lose. I would have to like kind of let the players win in order to have a fun game. And I had to be basically a dungeon master in the game, so it didn't feel like a one versus many game like what most people will say. Now, some people may come in the comments and tell me like, well, play GG, play with better players, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I played with board gamers who play adventure games, and with the way, if you know those rules well, the Overlord shouldn't lose. With the advent of the app that came out for Descent, that did fix things a bit, but again, the app for Imperial Assault was better. The app for Journeys of Middle-earth is better. The app for Mansions of Madness is better. I like this game. I do enjoy this game. Okay, I do. I will have a final score for you guys, and I will go through that stuff now, and I will try to talk about everything about the game during this time. Okay. I'm going to try to keep the music going because music tool, but so I'm going to keep touching the tablet. Okay, so first off, we talk about components and the art. Now, a lot of people have complained that they don't like the art style of this game, and that is completely up to personal taste. Because frankly, not mad at it. It actually reminds me a lot of like 4th edition D&D style. I don't like the wings on her helmet are dumb. It's like the shoulder pads on Space Marines. They're just too big. It's dumb, okay? But it doesn't break the game. I'm going to move that tree out of the way. But it doesn't break the game for me. It doesn't break the art for me. For me, overall, the art is very good. It's not my favorite art. It's not my favorite art in an adventure game, but the art is well done. The components themselves are also very well done. Now, this game has really turned people like kind of against each other when it comes to the 3D aspect of the game. As you guys could see while we were playing, I had trees on the boards. I ended up getting the entrance to the watchtower, the chest are 3D, the well is 3D, all of that stuff. Your enemies are 3D. A lot of people are like, well, I don't want to pay for a game that just has 3D terrain because I don't care about 3D terrain. If that's the case, then yeah, this game's not for you. But as a guy who builds 3D terrain and uses it in D&D, yeah, this helps. It's definitely nice. It really adds more to the table than just hey, what's the art like on those tiles? Like the tiles in this one are kind of bare bones because they don't have to have a whole bunch of extra stuff on them. You know, you don't have to have these flat tokens to see like, oh wait, what is that token again? Is that a no? You don't have to worry about that. If there's a freaking let me try to grab something real quick. If there's a I got everything buried. If there's a gate, you know, then you can see that. If there is a bookcase, you can see that it's a bookcase. It's not just this flat 2D tile with a printed bookcase on it. It's an actual bookcase. As someone is going to be running the app, this really helps everyone else get just as immersed as the person who's using the app. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to give it an A+, because hell yeah, like as a guy who plays D&D, like as a guy who makes terrain, as a DM who has for years played with players who struggle with imagination and a simple drawing on a map doesn't do it for them, and has built buildings and entire city blocks out of XPS and foam core and chipboard and things like that. Yeah, this is nice. It's not the absolute best quality. It's not the end-all be-all. Like, yeah, you can 3D print better quality stuff. A lot of people have said that. They should just put plastic stuff in the box. Well, yeah, but then you'd be paying 3 times as much. I mean, you're saying the game costs too much because of this components, but then they should have better components to replace those. It's a weird argument. I don't mind these at all. My biggest issue with these is that you're going to want to glue them. You're going to want to glue them because while there's a deep well in the box of the game to hold all of the created terrain in its full form, if you move your box around a lot, stuff is going to get knocked out, things are going to slide off. So a little bit of Elmer's glue goes a long way to just hold these things and make them very tough, which is great. There is a scale. You guys didn't see it, but you will have, let me see if I can give you guys a quick dirty example. Like I said, you guys didn't see this, but there are times where you will have a section of the board that is actually higher than others, and you will have stairs that go up to that. I didn't want to play the game for that long because there's spoilers with that, but you see, like, you literally put that on the table. Like, let me go ahead and switch back over to board so you guys can see that. Like, literally, like, you would have sections where your guys can go up ramps. Any ramps around here? Yeah. Like your guys could go up ramps, you know, and then move up to others, you know, like stuff like that is really, really cool. Like I like that. That gives, again, it adds to the 3D element so you know when things are lower elevation and upper elevation. And most of the time, it doesn't matter if you're lower elevation or upper elevation because you can still move freely, but it just adds to the overall look and feel of the game. I'm fine with that. So, like I said, when it comes down to it, for art and components, art I'd give like a B, but the components I'm giving them an A+. Overall, I'm gonna give the art and components to this game a solid A across the board. Really, really like it. Sorry, lost the music for a second. Now it's back. Okay, so and not only actually no, I'm going A+. I'm going A+ because of these. This to me is the biggest upgrade from Descent. Frankly, the original Descent figures were Garbo, hardcore Garbo. You know, the Pokemon Garbodor would look at those and be like, nah, I don't want that. These are the best miniatures Fantasy Flight Games has ever put out. It shames everything else they've done. The fact you get 40 super high quality miniatures out of this box is astounding to me. I honestly thought they'd have like 2 of each enemy, and then maybe have tokens and stuff if you needed multiples. But no, these miniatures are amazing, and this is what pushes it over the top for me. They even base the freaking models, for God's sake. They're so good. They are so good. Cannot wait to paint these. I got some stuff I'm painting for EPCon first, but these guys are gonna get the David painting treatment because they're just so very, very nice. Okay, so now moving on to the rules, complexity, and the teach. Now this is where the game is going to take a little bit of a hit. What you do in Fantasy Flight, I always point to you guys when I talk about how good rulebooks can be, and you done messed up, Ron. Like, I don't know what happened here. I understand that the app is going to be doing most of the heavy lifting, but your Learn to Play book and then your glossary was amazing. Still keep that. Now, I understand with the cost of paper and cardboard and everything going up, more and more games want to switch to like glossaries and things like that that aren't, that are not like in a leaflet, that are, on an app or something like that, or on BGG. I get that. But even the layout of your rule book isn't great. It's not. It's just not. So for the rules complexity, just from the layout of the book made it more difficult. So I'm going to give that a C+, honestly, because it kind of took me back that this book is just not up to to Fantasy Flight's typical fare. But the teach, super easy. I've taught 9 different people how to play this game. 4 of those people hadn't really played a game like this before, and the other 4 people that I taught had played some adventure games, but nothing with an app. So both groups hadn't, a couple people in one of the groups had used an app, while the other group, no one had used an app, and I kind of passed the app around so everybody could get a handle on it. Super simple. Oh my God, the teach is easy. If you want to take this game, if you got a family that doesn't really like these style of games, but because they tell you they're too complicated, bring this game out and they'll be like, oh, not only does it look good and make me want to play, but the rules are super, super, super easy. Yeah, I'll play. So while the rule book is really bad, the ease of the teach kind of helps it out and brings it right up to like a B. I would definitely give this a B in that regard. So I'm going to move on to this and talk about fun factor and replayability, and I'm going to add one just for this review. I'm also going to talk about value, okay? So first off, replayability. I can't give you a final score on this because it's a long campaign and I have not completed it. From what I can tell, there's going to be a lot of content coming out for this game. So the replayability potential is intensely high, insanely high. But I haven't seen that potential yet. So, and I don't like to give a score on potential, so I'm basically not going to talk about replayability. I will only say that this campaign is going to take probably dozens of hours to complete. I'll leave it right there. This may not be as long as something like Gloomhaven, but frankly, I'm not even sure. Some people have told me that they beat Gloomhaven in like 40 hours, and I'm like, I don't know how the hell you did that, how the heck you did that, because I played the game for like 50 hours and I'm only halfway through. So it's all different for everybody. Obviously, the app would change things with this game, but I'm just saying, I don't know what replay potential is, or what the replay value is, but the potential is way, way high. So definitely keep that in mind. For fun factor, if you like adventure games, you're going to like this game. If you want a one versus many D&D style game, this isn't it. But if you want a game that is going to keep you enthralled and make you make choices, and I'm talking like actual choices, like what are your character's motivations and things like that. That changes things. That really adds to the game, where a lot of other adventure games kind of ignore the characters. This game does not. This game, the characters are at the forefront. This definitely does feel more like D&D light, because it is role-playing light, because you do want to think like your character thinks, you know. You could just be very clinical about it and be like, well, I'm only going to choose this one this time, and then only choose the other one next time, and then maybe I'll do a third playthrough where I like alternate, which would give you a ton of replayability options. But I don't think so. I think most people would play this game like answering each question, going with their gut, and not worrying about which path that goes down, and just kind of seeing where the cards fall. That adds a lot to the fun of this game for me. Combat's really nice and smooth. a lot of if you like the dungeon crawling style in D&D where you're actually moving, turn by turn, moving through dungeons, traps going off, and enemies attacking and things like that, this will be right up your alley. Things move very quickly when you're not in combat, which is really nice. You can move through really fast, get your turns done, and get back into combat. Combat's kind of the meat of the game, but there's plenty of exploration to be had, plenty of little tidbits that you can read out and that you can interact with. You could pass the app around so everybody has a chance, or you could get like one person per session to do it, or if you got a 5-player play group, have one person at each sit down be the app person while the 4 other people play characters, and then the next time it moves down the line. So you could conceivably actually turn this into a 5-player game like that, and have like one player be the overlord or the game master, So yeah, fun factor for this one for me, it's going to be a straight A. I liked this more than I actually like Journeys in Middle-earth when it comes to the app integration and the overall play, because the battle sections of Journeys in Middle-earth left me kind of lukewarm. I prefer the exploration missions. Whenever I had to do a battle mission, I was kind of like, eh. But the exploration missions I really loved. This, combining the two and making exploration just as fun as combat for me, that's aces. So this one is going to go ahead for fun. It's going to get an A, solid A, almost an A+, solid A for me. Overall, I will give it an A for these because I will be adding another one. Like I said, I'm going to be talking about price. Now, this is not Kingdom Death Monster where the core box is $350 when it's on sale. This is not that. This tries to be something along the lines of Gloomhaven or Kingdom Death Monster with more visual flair. They're not going to be able to compete with like the model quality of something like Kingdom Death Monster, but these models are definitely way better than what's in Gloomhaven. I mean, it's not even a comparison. Objectively, they are way better. And the overall presentation to this one is way better than Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven's big draw for me is the card play in it. Everything else is kind of superfluous. Gloomhaven has an insane degree of setup. And I played the tutorial mission of this with Fog of War and having to look for stuff and add stuff to the board in the same amount of time that a regular mission of Gloomhaven would take me. That's a lot. That's pretty big, considering that the map that I explored was very large compared to Gloomhaven, which is like 3 rooms interconnected. This was like I went into the watchtower and went into sections of the watchtower and then left the watchtower and went to further beyond, which yeah, that's a lot, and you can get through that very quickly, which again, really, really cool, really interesting, really fun. But that does come with a hefty price tag. This is a $175 board game. And a lot of people are going to be upset about that price because for a lot of it, it doesn't feel like you get enough components in the box to justify that. When you look at this game compared to Gloomhaven, the game is light compared to Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven just has tons and tons of cards, tons and tons of tokens, tons and tons of miniatures, attack decks, all that stuff. This doesn't have that. You open up the box, and this is a typical Fantasy Flight Fair, where you open the box, and the box, you get all the components out, and the box is half empty. Now, that's always because they want expansions to come out, but at the same token, that could be an issue for people opening up this box and going, well, most of the box is a terrain. Yes, that is the case. You don't need the extra cards. You don't need the extra things because that's what the app is for. You're not just paying for what's in the box. You are paying for the integration of the app. I understand the app is free, but you can't play the app without the game. You can't. I mean, you could pretend, and you could go through the entire app by yourself, not owning the game at all, but you wouldn't. I mean, that experience would not be fulfilling in the slightest. This is a game that I wouldn't look at in dollars and cents. $175 is a lot of money. Even going to a place like Game Vault and picking it up and getting the free promos, that's still $175 that's a lot. That's a lot, man. That is like a high electric bill, like it's nothing to sneeze at. But don't look at it like that. I want you to try to look at this game in respect to time. So you could look at it as a $175 board game. Or you could look at it as a game that's going to give you 50 to 60 hours of playtime for multiple people. If you play with a 4-player group and you're all coming together, playing this game constantly, having a great time, even doing multiple run-throughs through Act 1 because more acts are coming. Even if you do that, awesome. Take a look at the time that you're spending. The way I see it is if you have a $175 board game, but 4 people have put 60 hours into that game, you're looking at cents on the hour at that point of entertainment value for this. That's unbeatable. I mean, that's pretty much the same for all board games, but not every board game is going to want to push you to want to continue and finish games. Games like Maracaibo that have a built-in campaign make you want to keep playing, to make you want to finish the game, which is awesome. And I want you to think about it like that. So this is not just a board game that you're picking up. This is an investiture of time that as long as you stick with it and play the game, you're getting more than your money's worth out of it. And at $175, that's kind of a steal. I do fall into the camp that I am all about execution when it comes to apps and board games. I have played some board games with terrible apps. I mean absolutely awful apps. And they have turned me off to the game. This isn't one of them. I am happy to announce that I can very positively review this game. And overall, I do give Descent Legends of the Dark a solid A, and it will go in my collection because this is not my copy. This is a demo copy that was provided to me from Game Vault, and even though I have access to said demo copy, don't care. I like this game enough that I'm going to spend $175 of my own hard-earned money in order to buy this and add it to my collection because, dang it, it deserves to be there. Now, I've talked a lot tonight. So I want to thank you all very much for joining us, and we'll call it there. Like I said, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to get in on the discourse and talk about this, I do want to have a more in-depth video on talking about apps and board games and what is a board game and those things. If that's something that you're interested, please subscribe to the channel or follow us if you're watching on Twitch. Make sure, it doesn't look like we have any comments that I missed out on, so that's good. Please, like I said, all the stuff I said at the beginning, I don't really want to say it again. We do have more content coming your way. We will have a video coming to you tomorrow. Not 100% what that video is going to be yet, but expect role-playing of some kind. But we will see about that tomorrow. We will have more videos coming up for you very shortly. We will have our playthrough of Oath with the dudes. We will have playthroughs. We're going to be finishing up the Dice Throne campaign. Until we finish up the Dice Throne campaign, we will not be starting the next Kingdom Death campaign, but we will be starting the next Kingdom Death campaign right after that. So we're going to try to knock out Dice Throne probably in like a week or two, so that way we can get back to the Kingdom Death. And that is just kind of an excuse for me to be able to paint a lot more Kingdom Death stuff. Give me a head start. But, we still need to finish Dice Throne. We'll have that. And again, if this is something that you want to see, subscribe to the channel. That way we can get stuff like this out to you guys. Let us know that this is the type of thing that you want to see. And we will play up the campaign of Descent Journeys in the Dark. Thank you all very much for joining me. Remember, my dudes, to keep rolling dice. Good night, everybody.